So here we are back at Recovery for Life, and we were bouncing around, Audrey and I earlier, family systems, which we did on a group a little bit last week, I think, but really just about the addiction as a family disease. And we got into a little bit of family systems as an identified patient in a family system, which isn't really the case because family tends to zero in on the addict as the person who's causing all the trouble. And the reality is that the whole family is the patient in the system. It's the whole family because everybody plays a part in this behavior in some way, whether they're enabling, looking the other way, whatever they happen to be doing that's contributing to this overall family dynamic. So, I mean, that was a subject we started bouncing around the other day, and also just the fact that this is a family disease, and every single person is affected by our using or someone else is using. I mean, that affects us, and there are groups out there, there are fellowships out there that address this too. Al-Anon is certainly one of them. That's the family members of the addict or alcoholic, and then there's ACA, which is adult children of alcoholics, and dysfunctional families. Let's qualify that because they add that in, which is for kids who grew up in that sort of situation. So they're, obviously this has been addressed by lots of different people because we all see it differently. Every family member sees the addiction differently, and they're coming at it from a different place. So I'm throwing that out, and anybody who wants to jump in and say anything about that or about anything. I mean, we can talk about anything.
Does anyone feel like it's hereditary?
I mean, yeah, I think generationally, like trauma and even on like a cellular level, like for example, what you said, hereditary, like it can definitely run through families, like mental health issues, addiction, just certain genes, I mean, can run through you. And I'm not a scientist, but like, don't know how to say it.
It seems as though it's par for the course. I mean, I have alcoholics and addicts in my family. I mean, I remember when I was younger, it didn't register at the time, but my grandmother always had a liter of Georgie's vodka out of like the plastic gallon looking
The good
thing.
stuff. That's the good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, the real good stuff that you get for like $11, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was always like a 6-pack of those little tiny tonic bottles. And I remember it was in the same cabinet where the saltines were. And I would like eat saltines like crazy. And I remember I would always go in there and it was always almost empty. Not still, it was like there was full and there was empty. And like I always remember my grandmother just constantly drinking. But it like didn't register till I got older that like, oh, she was like tuning up constantly. And
Yeah.
my father's a heavy drinker and a secretive one, on and off. I was, I am who I am, but I was the only person actively that was able to address my issues and address my demons. My grandmother passed away and my father is in still active addiction. And it's so wild to be on the other side of this and see him not able to, have that moment that we've all had and go, oh, this is it. I have to stop. Like he hasn't been able to have that moment. And it sucks that, we're so powerless against it in a whole nother way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is both either generational trauma, like nature and nurture. Really, it's not nature versus nurture. It's both generational trauma, like emotional, mental, and things that get passed down through what people say to each other and how people act, right? But also, again, like hereditary. And I think that what you mentioned about like, how you're able to stop the cycle is really important. Like being the person in the family that is able to say, okay, I'm going to be in recovery because I know that my family is not filled with alcoholics, addicts, but I mean, there are a few that I could name in my family. Like, for example, my grandpa, who's passed away now, he was a terrible drinker, similar to just like drinking every day, and he had a lot of mental, emotional issues that were unaddressed until the day that he died. I think a lot of that like really affects both generationally, like trauma-wise, but also just trickles down in genetics. I mean, I'm an addict and on that side of the family, there are a lot of other addicts that I could name. But that's all to say that it's both genetics and what you witness as a person and what is passed down from family to family and from parent to child. Neither of my parents are addicts. I'm an addict. I think that I can have similar kind of like pride, but also sadness, right? And like saying that I'm the one that not stop the cycle necessarily, but am able to at least realize that there is generational trauma or whatever you want to call it, generational addiction, and realize that this is partly ingrained in me and it's partly a lot of it is up to me to stop it. Like, yes, this I might not have asked for this. No one asked to be an addict, but it's up to us to really decide what to do about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm a second generation American Italian. So my grandparents, both sets, they didn't have any addiction, alcoholism. My parents don't. My twin brother doesn't have a problem with addiction or alcohol. Both my older sisters don't either. So I'm the only one that I can track in my family. Not to say that perhaps back in the old country, maybe somebody over there had it, also not to say that, there was definitely people in my family that had mental health issues, but maybe this is how it was passed down to me, or perhaps, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's still an enigma, and I really don't try to put too much mental effort into figuring it out, because I just want to live my life and be sober. It's really my life that I need to worry about. And I think that where, as opposed to like one of my sisters married an alcoholic, he didn't admit it, but he doesn't admit it, but he's an alcoholic. I know, I know an alcoholic when I see an alcoholic, and his father was an alcoholic. So like, I can see how his was passed down, but like for me, I don't see it. Like, I don't see that like generational pass down of addiction. I do see the mental health, like anxiety, depression, and things like that. But is that what led me to be an addict? I don't know. And I think it's interesting that, being an identical twin, did I get the special gene and he didn't? Even though we are identical twins, you know what I mean? Like, yes, we're two separate people, right? But at the end of the day, we are identical twins. So like, sometimes it's hard for me to like accept that like he didn't have to deal with any of this and I did. But then on the other hand, like, I feel like I've gained a lot more life experience than he has because of it. But hey, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on how it is for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a culmination of everything, right? It's both. I mean, it's not just both. For example, the generational and hereditary gene thing, like you just said, you can't track any addicts in your family, so it's not always that. And like you mentioned that you don't try to figure out the reasons why, or like try and spend so much time ruminating on what and why caused, like the reasons why you're an addict. And I think that's important to note, like just in terms of in my life, I feel like I haven't really ruminated or obsessed over, why am I the way that I am? I mean, I have in some ways, right? Like, why am I an addict? I thinking things like, I wish I wasn't this way. I wish I was normal. But in another way, I'm speaking of like, I haven't really thought too deep into like who is an addict in my family, and like, for example, playing a blame game. Like,
Right.
this is yeah, just like accepting. I think accepting that there may be either, again, generational trauma, generational addiction, just accepting that as maybe a fact or like a black and white thing, and then moving forward from it is important, and acknowledging that there are so many factors that can lead to addiction. Things in your life that happen can lead to it. Like, if we're talking about family and generations, this is before you were born, but after you're born, I mean, you have a whole life. So things in your life, how you're treated, how you treat other people, your experiences, everything can lead up to and like culminate your entire being. So
And that's super interesting. I'm interested in, and like I think that's why we go to therapy. But like I'm interested in the reason myself anyway, in the reason why I made these choices. Like
yeah.
were there situations in my life that registered in my brain to make me make these decisions? Like were there
Mhm.
experiences in my life that sent me on a path to becoming an addict? Like I want those answers. I'm interested in those
Yes.
answers. And
Yes.
if anything, I hope I can use that as a teaching tool for my son, or just going forward for myself. I'm curious to why I caused myself and so many other people so much pain for so long, so selfishly on my end.
Yeah, for sure. Like both my brother and I were raised pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, me too.
So it has to be something that happened to me personally, right? That led me to
Yeah.
making the choice of using drugs to escape or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Boom, 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 boom. That's what I was gonna say.
Hey,
yeah.
Because
Hi,
I
Amy.
wanted to, hey guys, how y'all
Hi.
doing?
Hey.
Good deal, good deal. Yeah, because I wondered and I thought, well, my life is pure hell. Why wouldn't I be? Plus, my mom and dad both. So, I mean, like, but back then I didn't realize you could have it in your genes or DNA makeup or whatever. But some people don't like have mom or dads that were anything like that. But you never know if you had like back in the day because
Mhm.
you get things from older generations. So they could have been alcoholics or something. You never know.
But say it's not hereditary, and that it is just person to person and choices, and like however
But we didn't make the
however we're
choice to do
built,
that.
however we're built, like why did it happen? Like I'm so curious
Yeah.
what happened in my life that made me go down that path.
I
Like-
already know.
Like we
I
didn't
know.
choose. Sorry, do you wanna? You
No,
can
no.
keep going if you want.
Go ahead.
I feel like we already choose. Like we choose the choices that we make, right? But we don't choose to be addicts. So like we choose, but we don't choose. And
It gets us. It gets you. Once you start taking something, doing something. Oh, that feels
Absolutely.
good. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not worried about this. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that. Ooh, and then you're like, oh, damn, I need more than that now because I'm
Yeah.
not getting that feeling. So
What-
then
what-
you're
what-
on this freaking roller coaster.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I remember the first time I took a Percocet. I thought I found the magic,
But yeah,
solution to
answer
all my
to
problems.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good upbringing, like John. Like I
Right.
get it. Like I had a really good upbringing. So did my brother, and he didn't he didn't choose this at all. And I just what was it? Was it peer pressure? And I just, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Like, was I doing it to mask some sort of pain that I don't
Right.
know, that I was trying to
Right.
mask,
Right.
that I don't understand?
Like
yet in my
subconsciously,
life?
right?
Subconsciously, what
Yeah.
I was trying to mask, like there was some sort of pain that I just don't understand yet. Like I need more therapy to
Yeah.
figure out what I was trying to numb, because I don't really
Maybe
feel
it
like
just
there was
made you
much.
feel good and you worked a lot and it made you feel good.
Maybe.
Point
Maybe.
blank. And
I
then
think
it
it's
started
important
taking
to,
more
like-
and more and more.
It's
I don't
important
see why
to-
we got to sit and delve into that because, like, you just got to figure out how to stay where you're at because I don't want to go back and no.
Yeah, no, I know. I think I think for me, I think I understand the path that I need to stay on, but
Right.
I am interested in opening up that box of information to find out why I did what I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we were talking before you came in, Amy, about we started talking about addiction as a family disease, and that's where all this started to come into play.
I got you.
Because
Got
every
you.
family member kind of plays a role
You're
in our
right.
addiction,
You're
right?
right.
And
Right.
then we got
Right.
into the other part. Now, I think that there's a lot going on here, and there's a ton of research going on about, the whys and the
Mhm.
wherefores. And, there's also the science of epigenetics going on now, which says that our environment can actually change the way our genes function.
Mhm.
It
Exactly.
doesn't change our DNA, but it changes the
Yeah. Yes.
functionality
Yes.
of them.
Boom. Boom. Boom.
And this is
That's
this is
facts.
environmental. So the nature, I agree with Audrey, it's nature and nurture. Our
Hmm.
Dr. Gabor Mate claims that there is no genetics involved in addiction. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm buying into that.
Oh my lord! Me, my brother, and my sister are addicts.
Well, but
So,
on the other
like,
hand, John has no one in his family who's an addict, and even his twin
we
brother
did
is not.
not that he knows of.
Not that he knows of, right? There could be. You're right, and
Well, as I was saying, I'm a second gen
right.
American Italian. All I know is my grandparents that came here from
Right,
Italy. So like
right.
maybe back in the old
You
country, somebody
never
was
know.
boozing it up. I don't know,
You
but
never, or drinking that stuff, tonic stuff, or back
well, it would
that
be
day.
wine.
Yeah.
I would think in Italy,
Right, I
right?
would think so too. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there's also speculation, and there's some studies that say that this generational trauma can come down through millennia, and
Mm.
not just through a couple of generations, but for hundreds and hundreds of years or thousands of years.
I mean, I feel
Um,
like that's absolutely could be a case too. And again, nature, nurture, experiences, everything, it adds up to everything in the end, right? Like your life is a culmination of experiences, and your experiences are culmination of your life, which is from people that have raised you, from their
right?
parents
Yeah,
to their parents.
exactly, exactly.
I totally get that, right? But here is a perfect example of like identical twins, right? That share similar, like almost identical DNA, right? Like, so like,
I've read about
right? So like,
twins.
how does one end up being an addict?
Sometimes two twins are totally. You may look just alike, but you're
Well,
totally different.
there's some brain science to that.
I know,
Actually,
but we had the same upbringing, right?
Right?
We were raised in the same environment. So like, what's so different about me than him that led me to become an addict? And
Was he
not?
around? Was he around and stuff when he was younger?
Yeah.
I think people like it, like what I'm trying to say is it's both like it's up to it varies from person to person. It doesn't have to be a mix of genetics
Thank you.
and it doesn't have to be a mix of genetics and experiences.
Right, right.
It can vary from person to person. And John, in your situation, like you happen to be an addict, you know what I mean? And
I
think
was totally against drugs. Just no, no, and no. Somebody came to one of my parties and brought some cocaine. Get the hell out of here with that. No. I did not fool with it. Now, then I'm married and it's always here. Try this, try that, try this. It'll make you feel better. Finally, give it to me. I know how I became one. I know I didn't have a chance in hell, but I was really trying not to. But when it's in your face every day,
As I mentioned, listen, I'm not overly concerned about like why I'm an addict and he's not. Like that's I'm just as general curiosity, right? Like,
yep,
what
yep,
the heck,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's like
Um,
how that would make me wonder too.
but like
And
I listen, I am who I am. I accept who
exactly,
I am, and
yes,
like I said earlier, like I wouldn't I wouldn't take back any of like like yeah, sure, I
I
did
wouldn't
some
either. Yeah, I
crummy
would
stuff, but
like
like
to,
uh,
but we can't.
you can't, right? So you have to just move forward, right? Like so like
Amen.
I
Amen.
just need to accept who I am and just make that
Go with it.
conscious make
Yeah.
that conscious choice every day to be sober and live
And
a
then
happy
what?
life.
Yeah. And like
well,
Frankie, I already talked to my little girl about pills and stuff. She's 7. I already talked to her about it because my first kid, she's good. Casey's good. She saw her mom and dad both. Me having seizures, dad died. So she's no, I'm not. But Lakin, I feel like I'm gonna have to watch this one for real. She's wide open.
well, let's think about this in a slightly different way. So, I agree with John and everybody that, we really have to focus on ourselves and stay sober, right? I mean, that's what's important, right? Right now, today, this moment is what matters in sobriety. However, once we get sober, taking a look at some of the underlying issues that may have driven us there may help us help others going forward. And it may help us to look at our kids a little bit differently when they're young, so that we have it gives us the opportunity to maybe change all of this going forward, not just us, but for generations to come.
Right.
So it's worth having a look at that. I don't think it's worth dwelling on it. And
Hmm.
believe me, I think that all of these people who are studying all of these things, who knows what's going to come out of this? Who cares? Does it matter that much? Because until they're,
Until they're
able
in
to change
the
our
thick of
DNA,
it,
yeah,
or yeah, they don't even understand.
right.
I'm
No, nobody
sorry.
does. Everybody's guessing, right? Some
Yeah,
people say there's no genetics. Some people say there is. Some people say it's nature. Some say it's nurture. Some say it's trauma. Some say it's this. Some say it's that. So there's a million different opinions. But
Yeah.
personally, we can investigate our own roots of this are, so to
It's
speak.
important to like realize those things. And again, like you said, Chris, and like Frankie was mentioning, like maybe go over some of them in therapy and counseling once you get to that place where you're stable, sober, and you can really delve into these topics and see how you can change for the better. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be for your children. Like, yes,
exactly.
that's
Mhm.
amazing. Do it for your children, but also like do it for yourself, do it for your family. There's so many factors involved. Yes, it is important to delve into these things in therapy, but like the main thing is like how do I move forward? And sometimes you can't move forward unless you do take a look at these things, but you don't have to completely dwell on it and let it ruin your life and let it bring you to be filled with shame. And I think that brings it back to like the family thing, like even family and friends, yourself. If you want to be better, if you want to make progress in recovery or just as a person, and either stop a cycle that's really negative and you're going on in your family, or just not stop, but like turn your life into a more positive thing after addiction or in addiction, or if you're trying to get out of it even, you just have to take a look at your life in a way that's not filled with so much shame and regret because that
Amen, sister.
I
Because shame
yeah.
and guilt ate me up for
Yeah.
years, up until the Chris when he was my therapist. But yeah, you can ask him. I would just eat up with it every day when I woke up. Finally, I said, "Say stop this shit. Now you're doing good now, so let's focus on now." Because I was so worried about what I did yesterday and the day before and 10 years ago.
Yeah, like worrying about yesterday is part of the rumination that I'm talking about.
Right?
Like when you delve into these topics, like how did these certain things in my life affect me, or how did my family affect me? It's just really important at a certain point to realize that all you have is now and today, and to be in the present, because then you can make positive changes towards your family, your friends, and it's hard to get to that point, right? Like I think all of us have probably been filled with so much shame and anxiety and depression and things that really hinder us to move forward and led us towards drugs for a lot of us. And I know not everyone here has the same experiences, but it's we've
We're
all
here.
been in the thick of it.
That brings me back to the family as a system, because when we start to change and grow and get better, everybody has to change with us too, right? Because don't forget, they're used to us being what we were and not what we are. So that's what I mean by this as a family disease. So everybody has to change their behavior to accommodate now. Like I'm better. So how's everybody going to respond to that? Because
Exactly.
they're so used to either
Exactly.
enabling me or looking the other way or doing
Thank
what they
you. Yep.
did.
Yep.
So now everybody has to change because we're
And
getting
see,
better.
that's hard because you're ready,
Yeah, of
okay? But
course it
they're
is.
still stuck in, oh God, what are they gonna do? We don't know if they're gonna do it. We don't know if they're gonna do that.
That's why people
So
go to family therapy,
right.
sort this stuff out.
Yep. Yep.
But often that doesn't happen, right? How many families
Oh
go to
yes.
therapy? Right.
Like,
That's a
the
tough
whole
sell.
family.
Tough sell to get
Now,
everybody.
John's had
realized.
some good parents now. I'll tell you that. I think
you.
John has a very good. Yes, I hadn't met him, but I love him to death. And how's your sister, real quick though?
She's good. I saw she came by her new home today with her whole family, and
Good.
she's doing great.
I've been praying for her, but I'm sorry I came in like a bullet, but I've missed y'all, and
Yeah,
I
I
was
missed you
excited.
too.
I get excited.
It's so great to see you. So yeah, this whole bit about family is really what we're talking about, and I know that it's a lot to negotiate when we're trying to grow and others aren't, or others are still trying to maintain the same behaviors that they did, despite our trying to grow and change. It makes it challenging for everybody.
Yes.
It really does. And you're right too, Amy, that there's still, I don't care how long we have sober, they still kind of look at us cross-eyed sometimes.
I still have friends that look at me sideways when I like get up to use the bathroom. Like literally.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I
Yep.
still have friends that
mhm,
are like,
Yep.
Yeah. It's a
that
tough one.
one, some of that.
And it makes you feel so like, God, I'm doing so much better. Please.
Well, you know, in
But I
my
still try to. I'm the same way, Frankie.
my sobriety speaks for itself. Like, I don't have
Thank
to
you.
tell anybody I'm sober or like, oh, I'm
Explain
doing
it.
well.
and-
I
yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
to do that. Like, you can tell, like, my sobriety speaks for itself.
Exactly.
But yeah, there are some people that are, I guess, so traumatized by what I went through. Some people that weren't even really affected by it,
Right.
that still can't really let go of the fact that, I have now grown into a sober adult. So
Well, that's an interesting thing that you just said about people who weren't even affected by it, because I suspect that everyone I came into contact with was somehow affected by my addiction in some way. I don't think anybody escaped that.
yeah, okay.
Um,
No, me either.
Noted.
yeah, I mean, that's my opinion, but I do think that, anybody I interacted with, however brief, kind of,
And still to this day. I mean,
Noted.
yeah, that it had some effect on them. I don't see how
Yeah.
it couldn't.
I had a friend I bumped into that I hadn't seen in like 5 years at CVS, where I thought I didn't do anything to him, right? Like you, Frankie. And he came. I was with my wife, and he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, John, is that you?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was like, "Wow, you look so good." And then he repeated it like 3, 4 times.
really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
he was real surprised.
Like absolutely stunned, And I look
Wow.
at him. He didn't look so great, but it's funny, like,
Like-
how things work out. But
It is.
it's just, I really didn't think that he even knew, right? But then he came up to me, he's
They know.
like,
Yeah.
he's like, "Wow, you look so good," like and I just took
And
it
over and over,
Right. Yeah. But, my wife told me like on the way out of the CVS, your friend, wow, he really he must have really saw you in a bad time. I was like,
You
I
just
guess.
don't know, honey.
Yeah, I
I
had this
don't
one
even
friend-
remember.
I had this one friend in college, actually. I mean, what Chris said about like I affected everyone when I was using, I think I can pretty much relate to that. Like, I don't think necessarily it's like no matter how small, because like if I'm on the subway and whatever, just sitting there, that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a time when I would use. But
That's so
I-
cool. I've never
I
been on
think-
Subway.
I think Subway's all right.
Yeah,
It's
you want to
fine.
be on the subway.
You know what I'm down subway. Yeah, but like, I don't know. I had this friend that it was the only time that a friend has ever cut me off and let me know why. And it hit me so hard. I mean, I think they just sent me a short text message and they said they were a college friend. And for some backstory, a friend in college back when I was using, and we were pretty good friends. We were pretty close. We used to start like smoking weed together a little bit, and we were in a lot of classes together. We got along great, and he taught me a lot about like astrology, yada yada. But basically, a lot of times when I was with him, I would either pick up drugs or like while he was with me, and we would like, for example, go to a bar and I would use and he wouldn't, or he came to visit me once with another friend, and I offered him some drugs. And then, like, a few other times, there've just been times with drugs involved. And, like,
Right.
another time when he had a prescription bottle of something, and I was like, "Hey, can we take that?" And he was like, "I guess so." And this was the only time in my life, like, I guess maybe a year or a few months after college ended and we kind of parted ways, he stopped talking to me kind of abruptly, and he sent me a text message saying something along the lines of, "I really can't have you in my life. Like, you're just really not a good influence." And it was like just short, and I was so completely devastated and like
Wow.
mad and angry and didn't understand. But then it took me like
But don't we hate the truth?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It took me months to a year to finally be like, and during those months in the year I was still using, so maybe it took me until I started Suboxone and started to get into recovery just to realize like, "Oh shit, like,
Because
he's
like
right. He was right."
right.
Like, I roped him into a lot of things that he might have not wanted to do or, like, was uncomfortable with, and I feel like it's just embarrassing. I was filled with shame at that point and in
And
early
isn't it
recovery.
so hard to get over?
Yeah, yeah,
Just one person saying that one thing and you dwell on
yeah.
it for 2, 3 years, you know?
Yeah, that makes me think about, like, how much I affected my family, what they had to see, um, just seeing me so depressed and even seeing me, like, pick at my skin to the point where I almost had to go to the hospital. At the dermatologist's office, they said something like, "You were almost at the point to an IV drip of antibiotics." And, I mean, my family had to see some shit, and I think that I put them through a lot. I put my friends
Uh,
through a lot. Yeah, so it's just you affect
and
everyone, really.
It was
yeah,
interesting that you said that, it took one person to say something and then the kind of floodgates open and you think, wow, what is everybody else seeing? What's the
'cause we
world
don't
seeing?
see it, do we?
How is the world really seeing me? I wonder, because I wasn't seeing it, back in those moments, but everybody around knew what was
I
going on.
saw it, but I didn't care. I didn't give a shit.
Well,
It
there's
was
that
like, "I'm not
too.
going anywhere."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the last to know when
Yeah.
when it comes to that. Everyone knew. I was the last to know. And
And I didn't know everybody knew either.
And that's right when we go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation is what happens in our family. And family members are seeing what's going on and they're reacting in all these different ways, right? Like I say, some are enabling, some are challenging us, some might be angry, it's hard to say because everybody's different. But everyone is reacting to this in some way. And we grow into those roles. It's not something that happens instantly, unless there's a dramatic event that happens, and nobody really knew what was going on until then, which is unlikely. But like in John's case, maybe nobody knew, maybe they did know. I think they did know beforehand, right before the real dramatic event. But I think over time, as our addictions grow, right, they become more severe and change. Everybody adapts to all of that as we're all growing up together, right? Everyone adapts, and so when we decide to change, now suddenly everybody has to change. The whole family has to change the way they behave around us, the way they see us, the way that we see them, the way they see each other. It's a system. It's
It
not
is.
a bunch of individual people.
I've noticed that as of recent, like how my parents talk to me now completely different than when I was in active addiction. Now they're sending me text messages like they knew I was stressed out today about like the showings going on in this townhouse that we're about to leave in 12 days. And I don't know, I feel like our landlord's completely like totally taking advantage of us. And my dad sent me a text message like, it'll all work out. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself out. It's not worth it. It was a nice text message. And like, because I had stopped by there before I came here. And
You needed it.
yeah, like I don't think he would have said that to me previously. Actually, I don't recall him ever saying that to me. To be quite frank, but even like our relationships when we're together. Like I got to go to the Memorial Day parade with him and my wife. That was nice. Like and having those experiences and like seeing the dynamic change and how they perceive me and sometimes even go to bat and defend me in certain circumstances where somebody may be saying like, "Oh, is John okay? Like he doesn't seem right." And my dad will go to bat for me now. Like, "No, he's good. He's sober." Like I find that out through the grapevine. Like Frankie said, like my sobriety, the way I am acting now and my sobriety is completely different than when I was acting in active addiction. And I think the way I'm acting now and my decisions that I'm making are sound and well thought out. And I think people respect that more. And I think others see it and acknowledge it, right? And that acknowledgement, I don't necessarily need it, but
It
hearing
sure
it,
means the world.
yeah, it means a lot.
I hadn't been around my dad that much in probably 10 years. And he was just like, Amy, you were so angry. You were just such an angry person at that time. But daggum, I just lost the whole family. What was I supposed to? I don't know how I was supposed to act. Plus, I was using. So I didn't even see that I was angry. I didn't until he said that. And it clicked. I was very angry. So that's like my dad. He's now cheering me on, like everything's gonna be okay. And it feels better like that. Gives you more
Yeah.
confidence or stuff.
Yeah,
But
the validation definitely helps. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with a little bit of validation for the work that we've done, right? And some people don't get that. And it's hard for, like Chris said, like people have to change along with you. So some people might not change and they might see your old self and might not give you the grace that you give yourself or other people give you or your family gives you. Like, I think I'm just really grateful that I've lived with my family for my whole life. My mom and dad, my siblings have moved out at this point, but everyone has been really supportive with my recovery. And yeah, it did take a little bit of time, especially for my parents, but they've always been supportive. And I'm just really, really, really grateful for that. But that's an aside. It's like Amy said, it's nice to be in a place where not everything feels like it's falling apart. Like Chris said, it's a system.
It's up to us to be accepting of however anyone views us at this point, right? It's an important role that we play.
But then codependency has a lot to do with addiction too.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that next time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
That's a
figured
whole
that.
yeah, we should do
Right,
that
that's a whole
actually.
nother nut to
Yeah, we're gonna
crack.
get into that ball
Yeah.
game one of these podcasts. But I think we have to shut down at 7 too. So we're gonna do gratitude because I think John's got to run. Frankie's got a baby to take care of, and so we can do some gratitude and then close it out and hope that people are out there listening and liking and commenting. I know we did get some comments the other day.
And please
I think
share.
John passed
Share,
along.
share you got.
And yeah, and share it with your friends, whatever people you think might be able to use the information, such as it is. And let's do a little gratitude, and we'll say goodnight. So who's going first? How about you, Frankie?
I'm grateful for my sobriety, this wonderful group and cast of characters. I love you guys. It's always great getting together on Sunday. I feel great after I do it every time. Grateful for my wonderful, understanding wife, as always. My delicious, tasty baby. He is just fat and delicious.
Fantastic.
It's just really just so tasty. Normally I close it out with a joke, but I don't have much this week. I guess I'm grateful to see that the Scandival is coming to an end. I don't know if you guys watch Bravo or are following any of that, but it's in the news. And if you don't know what the Scandival is, be grateful you don't know, because it's consuming my life.
No
I'm
idea.
grateful for that, Frankie, because I know.
No idea.
Be grateful because
I got you.
it will
I
consume
wrote
your
it
life.
down. I wrote it down because I want to see.
Scandival.
End of all. I'm starting to get the feeling that Frankie's new baby is actually a meringue sculpture.
Good good one.
Break little pieces off and eat 'em.
Oh, so tasty.
How about you, AP?
Or
You got some gratitude today?
I'm grateful to be here and see you guys. Gosh, I've missed y'all. We're gonna get back on this, and I'm grateful for my sobriety, and I'm grateful to be alive because I had a real rough few months, to say the least. But God's pulled me through it, and yeah, it's grateful, really grateful for my family, and yeah,
Thanks. John, your turn.
Yep. I'm grateful for the group podcast, everybody here. Like Frankie said, I always feel so much better after this. Grateful for our listeners, for my wife, my family, for our new home that hopefully we'll be starting a new family in. And I'm grateful that my mom found my horn and my chain. Frankie knows what it is, but it was that one. It was missing, and I was a bit
It's an
concerned.
Italian thing, obviously.
Yeah, my mom found it last weekend, and I was like, yes. Anyway. Oh, and I'm grateful for another day alive and sober.
Oh, thanks. Okay, Audrey, you're up.
John, maybe your mom can find my missing headphone that I just bought. I'm so pissed.
ugh.
So annoying. Ugh. Anyway, I'm grateful still that I got a new pair of headphones. And I got a replacement. I'm grateful to see everyone here, and grateful Amy and Frankie are here. Obviously grateful for John and Chris too. And just for the great conversations and ability to be honest with you all. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm grateful to all of you for being here. Good talk, good conversation. Interesting stuff. I wish, we could go on for hours about it, and we will in future broadcasts and other things. But yeah, I'm grateful to be able to be part of this wonderful thing that we do together, and part of all of the people that I get to help through recovery and through this process. So it's just an amazing experience to be here, to be able to do this with all of you. And I hope that we have some people out there listening. Grateful to all of them. Anyone who's sending us notes, good or bad.
Keep sending them.
Keep sending them. And we'll see everybody in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks,
Tasty,
y'all.
y'all.